pandemic is a nightmare for many, but it is now being used to change the infrastructure of the current financial markets. And in that event, who is going to be the winner? We have to actually understand that, right? So listen to this video.
Digital is the big winner of this crisis, but we should not take it for granted that it is equally available to everyone. Therefore, investing in digital infrastructure and in skills so we can bring forward what is clearly accelerated by this crisis for everyone, a very important lesson.
So those who move rapidly into the digitization phase will win this race. Various central banks have already begun the journey to stabilize their financial markets, and now at this next phase of pandemic, economic crisis and the market outlook, XRP Ledger is adding on more characteristics or specifications to its customers as a solution for many of these issues. Now you have smart contracts with Flare coming in and using Ethereum smart contracts to settle in XRP Ledger. That's kind of a next generation ability to do that within the second generation crypto. Now at the same time, when we look at this particular thing, we can understand that the stock market hitting the it is going to the all-time highs, right? And when the real economy has nothing to do with the stock market and the prices rallying, you should be actually cautious. Because, when that is happening and there is an ultimate crash, it cannot be actually considered like that. Because if you read through this, you'll understand that, the purchasing power of money is going to be going down. So that means the inflation. So I would show you this, and it's just filling more and more air into that balloon of stock market, and eventually, as we all understand, it will go big, giant, and then it will burst. The question is, are you actually prepared for that burst? Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. If you saw value in the content, please do support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you would like to extend your support to the channel and the research executed here, you can use the link for PayPal and Patreon in the description below. If you would like to get more value and to understand your own portfolio, different assets included in your portfolio, your risk tolerance level, your capital management and all, can actually use that Patreon link. You can just go into that Patreon and you can understand how you can actually receive more and more value with less cost. Now, jumping back into this one, I would first highlight this one, tweet from Real XRP Boy highlighting from Crypto Eerie, that she brought this to attention. Now, yes, I didn't also see that before, and that's actually a good watch. If you're going to watch that, you are going to get a bit more information regarding XRP and general questions regarding the XRP, what XRP is, for what it was designed for, and how things are actually moving forward for that one, and how it is being compared with Bitcoin and other crypto assets. So if you follow Crypto Eerie, you would be already familiar with this thing. But I just saw that after looking at a Real XRP Boy's tweet itself. So we'll move from this one, and then we have to actually catch up with the technical side of XRP. In yesterday's live video, we actually went through the technical chart analysis, and at the time the price was kind of bottoming out here at this support range, and I kind of highlighted that to you guys. We are range bound, right? XRP is range bound on a smaller time frame, which is 4 hour, 2 hour, 12 hour, whatever you take it, and then when you look at the MACD here on it, 4 hour, you can see that we are kind of crossing to the upside and we are bouncing off from this support resistance zone. So if we cross around 0.29, 0.3 area, then again you can eye the 0.32 level mark. Now that's on a 4 hour chart, and if you step back and look at it on a 3-day chart, you can understand it's kind of acting like a flag as of now. It hasn't actually broken down below that support level, so we are still bullish considering the long term trend. We are still managing the trend line support from here. This is the second line, so if it is to break down, you can expect something around 0.2 to 0.34, but if it is actually moving in that rounded bottom manner, which we have previously understood that it is moving, considering all these points of touch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you count that, you can actually understand it is still moving within that trend, right? So keeping that in mind, still we have a chance to come closer to around 0.24, 0.25. But in a bullish market, it always makes something like this. Say for example, if you go on a daily chart or 12 hour or 4 hour, you kind of get a signal that it is making a double top here. Now technically, that's kind of a bearish thing to make a double top, but unless you're breaking below this particular neckline here, the double top is not confirmed. If it is actually going to the upside from here and breaking the 0.32, it would be then known as another thing, which is like triple bottom, 1, 2, 3. If it is breaking above this area, that's then triple bottom or reaccumulation phase, considering this as the accumulation phase. And the burst to the upside, again reaccumulation and then a burst. That can actually happen in technical terms if it is going to the upside and then breaking above 0.32. Now, looking at the fundamental side of this one, first article shows you pandemic is triggering wave of billion-dollar bankruptcies in United States. Now, record 45 large companies filed for Chapter 11 despite trillions in government aid. That is common sense. These banks are creating the issues in the financial market itself. We all already know that in the previous crisis, the great financial crisis, as they call GFC, back in 2008, they received a hell lot of aid from the public, right? Did that solve the issue? No, they just enlarged that kind of issue, and now we are again at trying to solve it. And as we just heard directly from the IMF, the winners would be those who are going digital. And yes, there are nations, central banks of different nations going digital. Like if you look at China, they're actually doing that pretty well, right? And at the same time, what is happening in US? It is just pumping the stock market. Now, as far as I understand, it's just the top companies like Apple and all pushing the entire stock market to the upside. If you look closer to different stocks, different companies, you can understand it's being floated by these companies. Otherwise, there would be like the stock market is still consolidating or actually moving to the downside itself. So when we actually see this thing, what we have to understand based on the Ripple and XRP is XRP could be the savior for banks at this stage. If banks are going for bankruptcies and they have to sort this thing out, they have dormant capital set aside just for cross-border payment's sake, right? Now that is the reason why we are seeing correspondent banking networks are being reduced, because they don't want to pay more for regulators, pay more inside the dormant funds. They don't want to actually keep their capital just floating for fulfilling the cross-border payments. Instead, they were using Citi, JPM and others to just execute those payments by giving more fees, right? So now they have an option where they can take out that idle capital, which is being highlighted by the IMF, the World Bank, the BIS, different central banks around the world like ECB. So that is kind of cool. Banks already understand this. And now that the banks are allowed to hold digital assets, what can be easily done in US or around the globe is that they can use that dormant capital to buy some, not entirely, use 10% or 20% depending upon their situation. They can put it into digital asset, create liquidity for them in the digital asset arena, and then use the digital dollar, digital yuan or whatever it is to do the cross-border transaction, and which allows you, simply speaking, if the banks are taking out their dormant capital, that gives them liquidity. That's the first point. Secondly, they are getting that liquidity outside and they can only use 10 to 20% of that for managing the cross-border payments, and then the rest they can use it to improve their financial situation, just get out of that bankruptcy stage and stand tall. Now, that being said, to get onto that area, you need a regulation. Now, recently, OCC came out with explanation that banks can hold digital currencies. So that is one thing of that coin, one side of that coin. Now, this is from a tweet from if I'm spelling it right, then it is Amir. So Amir put this one out, and it shows like it's back in 2017, central bank digital currency, a monetary policy perspective from Malaysia. So Central Bank of Malaysia was looking onto it way back from 2017. All of them were considering private digital currencies. They were looking at it and all. And now we understand one thing: they are high on DLT and the new payment system, right? So we understood that previously. So we went through all of them. And now, At the same time, yes, XRP ledger was not actually able to provide a smart contract efficiency like the which got attention from Ethereum, whereas the payments space was getting attention for XRP ledger. And now it is available for the businesses to go into that at a time when the entire fiat currencies are depreciating in value. Now yes, considering as of now, if you look at the dollar index, you can currently easily understand, if you pull out the chart, you can see that it is moving to the downside, and gold, silver and other safe haven assets are moving to the upside at the same time. If you look at last 2 months, 3 months, you'll understand that is happening. Now all of that is happening around us, and when we look at the US side of this, yes, US is not at the war front. We can even say that they are just sitting behind the screen and looking at who's gonna win. Now this can offend many of those who are from US, but I personally feel like US being the largest economy as of now and vital power of the world, they're now kind of the president itself is standing against China, the authoritarian state pushing back and all, but the regulations and other steps, if you look at that, they're kind of promoting China's economy. If you look at that, 80%, 70%, whatever it is, the mining capacity of Bitcoin and Ethereum was from them, and they have already given clarity for those coins. So the miners who are working in China is making money for China and them paying the taxes in China, not in the US. But instead of providing much more clarity for US companies, US government is doing the opposite. So what I can say from that is, Chinese spies are everywhere in US. It's not only in universities and funding area, just taking out their research and findings. It's everywhere. Even the politicians can be funded by the Chinese. That can be the case there. Now, here it reads clearly, while the US has barely even begun thinking about that digital dollar in a way that they can implement that soon, right? Because China is piloting that stuff. Now, when we look at that, I saw this one and I also felt, yeah, that is actually true. Even Brad was stating like, I'm long Bitcoin. But this perspective is not negligible. Personally, I also feel, yeah, that can be the case. If he directly states, BTC, proof of work and all is shit, that kind of, gives them pushback looking at the crypto side. But the words which they use are sometimes contradictory considering the proof of work coins, which are not having that ability to do what they are prepared for. Like Bitcoin was intended to be a cross payment mechanism, right? But as of now, based on the energy consumption, the scalability issue, the fees of the transfer and all, it's not that cool if we are considering that scale. If you're just locating on a small area, small town and all, it can be possible using, say, the Lightning Network and all. But if you're looking at a large scale like the target of Ripple, it's never going to be possible. Now, this next article shows Ripple transfers 39.5 million XRP. Wow, that's actually a huge chunk, right? So the XRP ledger monitor has detected 39.5 million XRP, which is wired by Ripple and its former CEO Chris Larsen, who transferred it to Coinbase Pro. Now, movements are actually happening. So what you have to understand is they are preparing for something. We actually have to understand this is happening in the background. Are you prepared for that? If there is a movement to the downside or to the upside, looking at the chart, yeah, we may actually pull back. But even if we are not pulling back, instead we are pumping to the upside, after misguiding you, showing that there is a possibility of going downside, if this is a bull run, a rally here, then you should be looking at it on that basis. Because if we are considering the stops here, it kind of gives us a ability to understand we are moving to the upside in a different pattern, right? So at the same time, the support area can also be like that. The price can actually move like this. We can't actually deny that the price may not move to the upside like this. It may come a bit down. It may get support from there and go to the upside. So that's reaching around 0.39 or 0.4, which we previously talked about, right? So that is kind of the aspect in technical. And looking at the fundamental scenario, that is still happening. This is from Michael. Michael sent me this one and I'm thankful to him. A shout out to Michael for that. Central bank digital currencies or CBDCs have been gathering steam, at least as a concept. Now, yes, as we went through different documents and it also shows 80% of the central banks, which the BIS did the study on, says they are developing central bank digital currency. Though that is actually a positive time to look at a digital dollar, digital yuan, digital, whatever it is in a different countries. But Asia is winning big on this one. Those who like Asia or not, Asia is becoming the hot spot for blockchain technology, the innovation side and all. Back in the internet era, US did all of that, provided the clarity for that technology to arrive there, settle there, and we now see Google, Microsoft, Apple, and all of those giant leading the industries in United States of America. And why did that happen? Because US and the politicians at that time, the regulators at that time, stepped out. They took outstanding measures and provided the clarity which was needed at that time. But now that's not the case. You have politicians who don't even understand this particular technology and who is not ready to study the technology and take the positive measure. Now, this article shows Federal Reserve experimenting with distributed ledger technology for digital dollar plans. Now, still plans, good. When your competitor or your rival is implementing stuff in different cities, you're still planning. Now, that is actually good. Okay. In terms of that, you're ready to lose that war before it even begins. That is cool. Now, even if they're going to do many things and all, they actually have the tools to win this war. But the politicians won't actually do that. In the crypto town hall event, we actually heard from the Congressman Emmer, right? It was clear, crystal clear. He just stated that crystal clear that the bill is in the Congress and they are waiting with that. Why? Because many of them still think about the Silk Road and all when they listen to the name crypto. Now we have actually moved way ahead of their BIS, IMF, a lot of institutions, reputable, world recognized institutions, are now endorsing this particular technology and naming companies like Ripple and Circle in big stages, right? So still, US regulators, politicians and all, they don't understand what is coming ahead. Now, when you go through this article, you will understand, yes, they want to actually go, gather that steam and pump rapidly. All these steps has to be taken. But the issue for them is like, you can't actually do that in a simple way. Now, that's all for that side. And for the next side of this one, looks at XRP and XRP Ledger tool. Like V7 actually popped this out. And if you want to prepare yourselves to claim your Spark, you can actually use your Ledger X, Nano X if you have that, and use XRP toolkit. Now, this is the step which you have to actually follow, and it kind of gives you the ability. Now, if your exchange is already claiming that for you and holding or being the custodian for that coin too for you, that's cool, that's easy for you. But if you are self-custodying that one, then you will have to actually go through these process. Now, next one is showing XRP is complementary to central bank digital currencies. Now, why this talk is coming out into the regulators' eyes and all? Because they are looking at crypto and saying, no, like this is going to be a competitor of central bank digital currency, or the central bank digital currency itself would be a competitor for central bank digital currency and Bitcoin, right? So that can be considered in that way. If you are considering central bank digital currencies as a competitor to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, these CBDCs should be having a strong concreted base to stand upon, and ILP, XRP, RippleNet is that base on which central banks can stand tall on and say, we are going to compete with you guys. So, if they actually want to do that, they are ready to do that. Now, whenever we are talking about this thing, moving the third party from this and all, you can understand the interledger protocol using the on-demand liquidity in different stages acts as that one. They can use this thing, right? So as we see from different articles, Hyperledger protocol, right? So it is interledger for Java platform. If you look at that, you can understand every platform is being built to be suitable for ILP, the interledger protocol. If you understand that or not, that is the fundamental side of this particular asset. If you stand tall on that or not. Now, whenever we are seeing that kind of a fundamental reach in one side, and just looking at the plain chart, say this is a weekly chart for XRP, and if you are looking at it, it is crystal clear that it just went up to previous resistance and it is not going down. It's not being rejected directly from there. And imagine this is a weekly chart. First candle, we reached there. Second, third, and fourth, we are still there. We have not been rejected to the bottom yet. Now, if you look here, you can see we made a higher high here, which looked like short-term distribution. And yes, it was a short-term distribution. We went to the downside, right? But considering that it was coming from directly from a bearish market, we were actually looking at a consolidation, then a capitulation. Now we had that capitulation, and then always after that capitulation of the bear market, consolidation and capitulation, we would be looking at a bit of depression and then a bull rally, which would be called as disbelief rally, and then starting that rapid rally. So guys, that's all for today, and if you so value in the content, you can support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to support extend your support for the research conducted in this channel and the scientific investor, you can use the Patreon or PayPal link, or else if you want to send directly to the XRP ledger, you can use those in the description. So I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.